Let me ask you a few questions that might seem simple, but whose answers reveal a massive, invisible system controlling your daily life. First, have you ever stopped to ask yourself why the notification icon on your phone is almost always red? Why not a common blue or a neutral gray? Second, why does Netflix play automatically the next episode without you clicking anything? And why do apps like TikTok and Instagram have no end? Why can you just scroll forever? Third, why does pulling down to refresh your feed feel so physically satisfying, almost like pulling a slot machine lever? And fourth, why does the thought of being disconnected from your phone, even just for an hour, fill so many of us with a low level of anxiety? The answers to these questions are not accidents, they are the result of deliberate and multi-billion-dollar designs based on neuroscience and psychology. Welcome to the attention economy, where your focus is not just valuable, it's the product being sold. I remember sitting down to watch one episode of a show and suddenly it was 2 a.m. And I would just tell myself just one video on social media and an hour would disappear. I thought it was just poor self-control. But then I discovered the entire science behind it and why we cannot look away. And in this video, we're gonna expose exactly how it works and how you can take back your brain. Welcome to the attention economy. So what exactly is the attention economy? In a world of infinite information, the scarcest resource is human attention. And tech companies have built entire business models around capturing as much of your attention as possible. In the early 20th century, newspapers discovered they could sell cheap papers to people and then make money through advertising, trading your attention for content. Then radio did the same. Then television perfected it. But what's happening now is different in scale and sophistication. But here is the crucial difference. Traditional media had natural limits. The newspaper ended. The radio show was over and the TV program concluded. But today's digital platforms have no natural endpoints. As Dempfu said in his book, The Attention Merchants, the business of attention merchants is to create content that will attract attention and then resell that attention to advertisers. The business model is simple. If you're not paying for the product, you are the product. Your attention is harvested and packaged and sold to advertisers. The longer you stay, the more you're worth. And this creates an incentive structure where tech companies must make their products as sticky and addictive as possible. Every minute you spend on these platforms is worth real money. For example, Facebook makes around $10 to $15 per user per year in the US. That might sound like much, but multiplied by billions of users, it creates an arms race to capture every possible second of your attention. Attention is the resource that powers the internet economy, and the competition for it is fierce and unrelenting. The psychology of red. Let's answer that first question. Why red? It's not a design choice, it's a psychological weapon. In nature, red is a primal signal. It means danger, urgency, and importance. Think of stop signs, blood, fire alarms. Our brains are hardwired through evolution to pay immediate attention to red. It triggers a slight stress response that makes us feel we need to act right now. Studies show red notification bubbles increase click-through rates by up to 30%. Functional MRI scans show red stimuli activate amygdala, the brain's threat detection center. This creates what psychologists call anticipatory anxiety, a low-grade stress that can only be relieved when checking the notification. This principle extends beyond just notifications. Look at YouTube's red subscribe button, Netflix red branding, or the red notification counters on every app icon. It's a coordinated assault on your primal alert systems. I tried an experiment for 2 weeks. I turned my phone to grayscale mode, and the difference was staggering. Those red notifications lost their emotional charge. I found myself checking my phone 40% less without even trying. The psychological pull had been literally decolored out of existence. The dopamine machine, variable rewards. Now we get to the real engine of addiction, dopamine and variable rewards. First, let's clear up on a common misconception. Dopamine is not about pleasure, it's about anticipation and motivation. It's the seeking chemical that makes you want to check what's next. Tech companies create what's called variable reward reinforcement schedules, the same system that makes slot machines so addictive. Psychologist B.F. Skinner discovered this in the 1950s. Animals and humans will work hardest when rewards are unpredictable. How it works in practice. You pull the lever, refresh your feed. Sometimes you get a big reward, maybe an important message or lots of likes. Sometimes you get a medium reward, maybe a few likes. Sometimes you get nothing. That uncertainty keeps you coming back. Variable rewards are the most powerful tool for building habit-forming products. They create a craving, a state of wanting that powers the habit loop. This is why you can spend 30 minutes scrolling without finding anything truly valuable, but you can't stop. Your brain is chasing the next potential reward. Every refresh is like a gamble, and your brain loves gambling. And this brings us to the third question. Why does pulling down to refresh your feed feel so physically satisfying? Almost like pulling a slot machine lever. This is no accident. The haptic feedback, that subtle vibration, the spinning animation, the sound design, they're all carefully crafted to make the action feel substantial and rewarding. When you pull down to refresh, you're essentially pulling the lever on a digital slot machine. You're investing a small physical action with the anticipation of a potential reward. Sometimes you hit the jackpot. Exciting news, lots of notifications, and sometimes you get nothing. That uncertainty, what keeps you coming back, whatever the reward is. This physical action creates a micro ritual that triggers dopamine release before you even see the results. The anticipation itself becomes pleasurable. And tech companies have turned what should be a simple, functional gesture into a compulsive, reward-seeking behavior. When you post something and get immediate likes, it triggers a dopamine hit, but when the likes slow down, dopamine drops, creating anxiety. So you post again, seeking that validation. It's a perfect addiction cycle. Why we cannot resist now. But there is another psychological trick at play here, one that is even more insidious because it exploits how our brains are naturally rewired. Hyperbolic discounting. So what is hyperbolic discounting? This is a fancy term for a simple human tendency. We value immediate rewards much more highly than future rewards, even if the future rewards are objectively better. Would you rather have $50 right now or $100 in a year? Well, most people would choose $50 now. Even waiting doubles their money. Our brains are terrible at valuing future benefits against present temptations. That notification gives you a small, immediate hit of social validation now. The long-term cost? Reduced attention span, anxiety, lost productivity, and feels abstract and distant. Your brain's reward system screams, take the immediate reward now. When you choose to scroll through TikTok instead of working on that important project, you're not weak-willed. You're falling victim to a perfectly designed system that preys on this fundamental human bias. The app offers immediate entertainment, while the project offers delayed satisfaction. Your brain, thanks to hyperbolic discounting, will almost always choose the immediate reward. Studies show that when presented with immediate versus delayed rewards, the brain's limbic system emotional center activates for immediate rewards, while the prefrontal cortex planning center activates for future rewards. And tech designs specifically target the more primitive emotional brain, the birth of infinite scroll. Now let's tackle that question about why these platforms never seem to end. To understand this, we need to look at one of the most clever and controversial design decisions in tech history, the invention of infinite scroll. Human brains are wired to seek completion. We feel satisfaction from finishing a book, completing a task, or reaching the end of a journey. This is called closure in psychology. It gives us a sense of accomplishment and allows our brains to mentally file away the experience as done. In the mid-20s, a designer was working on a music player interface and had a realization. What if we removed all stopping points? What if content just continued forever? The initial intention was user-friendly, to eliminate the friction of clicking the next page and just create a seamless experience. But what emerged was something much more powerful. If you don't give your brain a chance to tell you you're done, you just keep going. It's bottomless. It's like eating from a bottomless bag of potato chips. The infinite scroll eliminates what psychologists call stopping cues, those natural moments when your brain says, okay, we're done here. Think of a book has chapter endings and a final page. A magazine has the back cover. A TV show has the credits rolling. Even a newspaper has an end to the articles. These platforms remove all these natural endpoints entirely. The 3 psychological tricks in infinite scroll. First, the bottomless bowl effect. In a famous study, researchers gave people bowls of soup that secretly refilled from the bottom. People with these bottomless bowls, they add 73% more soup than those with normal bowls, yet reported feeling no more full. Infinite scroll is the digital equivalent. You consume far more content without feeling full. Second, the Zeigarnik effect. Our brains remember unfinished tasks better than finished ones. When you scroll without reaching an end, your brain stays in a state of mild tension, remembering that there is more to see. This principle keeps you hooked. Third, decision fatigue elimination. Every time you reach the end of a page and have to decide, should I click next? You use a tiny bit of willpower. Infinite scroll removes all these decision points, making it easier to continue mindlessly consuming. What started as a convenience feature became one of the most powerful attention capture tools ever created. The designers themselves were shocked by how effectively kept people glued to their screens. And today this principle has been refined and expanded. TikTok's For You page that never ends. YouTube's autoplay that starts the next video automatically. Instagram's feed that seamlessly loads more content. Netflix next episode countdown that plays without consent. These aren't neutral design choices. They are deliberate attempts to override your conscious decision making and make you keep consuming.
Not evolving at random. The reason it feels like it's sucking us in the way it is because of this race for attention. We know where this is going. Technology is not neutral.
And the most telling part, many of the people who helped create these features now limit their own use of them, and some of them have become outspoken critics of the very systems they have helped build. What this does to our brains. So what is the real cost of living in this attention economy? The research is becoming terrifyingly clear. Attention fragmentation. The average person checks their phone 96 times per day. Constant context switching can reduce IQ temporarily by up to 10 points, similar to losing a night's sleep. Studies show it takes an average of 23 minutes to regain deep focus after an interruption. Mental health impacts. Teens who spend more than 5 hours on their devices are 71% more likely to have suicide risk factors. Heavy social media users report 3 times the rate of depression compared to light users. The compare and despair effect creates what researchers call social comparison overload. Now let's tackle that fourth question. Why does the thought of being disconnected, even just for an hour, fill so many of us with a low level of anxiety? And this is not a personal quirk, it's a psychological condition that's been deliberately cultivated, known as FOMO, fear of missing out. These platforms create what psychologists call social comparison overload, the constant, exhausting process of always measuring your life against the curated highlights of others. When you disconnect, you're not just missing updates, you're missing your place in the social hierarchy. Functional MRI studies show that social exclusion activates the same brain regions as physical pain. And tech companies have essentially weaponized our fundamental human need for social belonging. That anxiety is not weakness. It's your brain's alarm system that telling you you might be left behind by your tribe. This anxiety serves a purpose. It keeps you coming back. The more FOMO you experience, the more frequently you check the app, and the more advertising revenue you generate. Your anxiety has been monetized. As Cole Newport, in his book Digital Minimalism, said, "We're training our brains to value interruption over concentration, reaction over reflection. We're losing our capacity for deep, sustained thought." Functional MRI studies show that heavy internet users have different brain activity patterns, specifically reduced gray matter in areas responsible for emotional regulation and decision making. Now it's time to take back your control. The good news, you're not powerless. Once you understand how the system works, you can build defenses. Here are actionable strategies based on the principles we've discussed. Digital environment design. Turn off all non-essential notifications, especially the red ones. Use grayscale mode on your phone. It removes the dopamine triggering colors. Implement app timers that lock you out after a certain usage, creating stopping cues. Use the 25 divided by 5 rule. 25 minutes of focus, 5 minutes of break. Set physical boundaries. Charge your phone outside the bedroom. Set deep work blocks on your calendar. Break in the addiction cycle. Delete the most addictive apps for 30 days as a reset. Create your feed aggressively. Unfollow accounts that trigger comparison. Practice single tasking to rebuild your attention muscle. When I implemented these strategies, I went from spending 4 to 5 hours on my phone to under 90 minutes. The first week was hard. I felt actual withdrawal symptoms. But within a month, my focus had dramatically improved and my anxiety levels dropped significantly. Remember, every time you resist these designs, you're not just avoiding distraction, you're reclaiming your attention and your autonomy. The attention economy is not going away, but now you understand the rules of the game. Those red notifications, endless scrolls, and the variable rewards, they're not neutral. They're carefully designed to keep you hooked, exploiting psychological weaknesses like hyperbolic discounting. But what is especially concerning is how these designs affect the most vulnerable among us, particularly teenagers whose brains are still developing. In my previous video, How Social Media is Rewiring Teens' Brains, I deep dive into the specific impacts on the younger generation, from attention fragmentation to social comparison anxiety, and what parents can do to protect their kids' mental health in this digital landscape. I'll link it right here on screen and in the description below. See you there.